right, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Mind of a Young Entrepreneur. Today we have an exciting episode for you guys. So in this video, I will do a full video sales letter breakdown of this video sales letter that I've been writing out. And I'll sort of just take you guys with me and show the whole process of it. So in one of my videos, I've shown the breakdown of how I do the proper market research, but this video I'll break down like each components of this VSL and why it is set up to work. So first, this is basically a YouTube video that we've been running, but the principles are basically the same. The only different thing is that at the end, instead of having a close or pitch, we sort of just set it up for the next video that people are going to watch. So that is why here at the top, what I do here is that like the titles is key. These are just like these are the things that make people watch your VSL. So you can see this, or you can see it as the headline. But this is in Danish, so I will just sort of translate what these things means. So give me X minutes and discover this one thing that is sabotaging your ambitions every single day. So here we are creating curiosity and playing to the thing that there's something happening that people don't know. And again, here your brain is working against you. Here's why. And this is again playing on this curiosity thing and something that is bigger than themselves. Like, why is my brain working against me? If you think that you're the one steering your life or having control of your life, you are just mistaking. And here's why. This is why you're stuck, even if you work hard, and then copy this 4-step framework and forget everything about you feeling stuck ever again. And again, the first thing I did here is just write out the headline or the title of this video, because then I have a sort of thing what I'm going for, and I know how to spike curiosity in these things. And of course, then you need to create the right thumbnail in order for people to click on this video as well. So this is basically just getting people in and watching your video, because if nobody watch it, like no matter how good your script is, it won't have an effect on people because they're not clicking on the video. And that's again the same with your funnels. If you don't have the correct ad to push people into that funnel, or the correct bait to get people to watch this VSL, and the right headline to get people to think, all right, this is for me, I want to know more about this, then people won't simply watch it. Now, the next thing I move on to is the lead of the video, and this is basically the intro. And what we do here is setting up everything for the video. So in the other video where I broke down the market research, I talked about the 3 things that you need to have that is crucial for a video sales letter to perform great. And that is, you need to have a problem, you need to have a promise, and you need to have a big idea. So what we're doing here in the lead is calling out the problem, creating the promise from what they're getting out, and then opening their minds to the big idea. So here in the first sentence, I'm basically saying, it sounds weird to say, but your brain is basically working against you without you even knowing it. And this plays into something that is bigger than themselves and creates this curiosity. Oh, I need to hear more about this. And then I move on to talk about or call out the problem. Like, I'm talking about people, they have big ambitions. So this video is basically for ambitious people who want to have a good career or have a great business, and they are just self-sabotaging themselves. So this is basically what it will help with. So I'm calling out the problem here, and then I say, if you have noticed these things, then you came to the right place. And then I'm calling in or talking into the big idea again, and saying there's a specific thing that is dictating your thoughts and your actions without you even knowing what it is. Which makes you do the same actions over and over again, even if you don't want to do it. So this is again playing to the big idea that there is something bigger than themselves and this new thing that they've never heard of before. And then I'm going to the promise here. In this video, I'm going to not just show you the problem, I'm going to show you exactly why you're constantly self-sabotaging and why your actions, you think that are your own, is not really, they are not really, in fact. And then how you can break down these patterns that you've been repeating for 10 to 20 to 30 years even. And then the best thing, I'm going to show you my 4-step framework. And this means the 4-step framework, the best outcome here, for this is basically me creating this unique mechanism that I'm going to share my clients' personal 4-step framework, because this is something that people have never seen before, and people like new things because this is taking off the pressure of if they have failed before. They don't want to improve things, they want completely new things, because then they know, they don't have a reference point if this is something that they've tried before. So that is basically it. And then we are creating this open loop that just sets up the scene. So if you ever feel like you've been stuck between the person that you are now and the person that you want to become, then promise me that you'll watch this video all the way to the end. And then we're getting into the we're asking people a question. So this is the lead, setting up everything and getting people hooked. So this is the most important part of every video sales letter, because if this thing is boring, it will just break everything down. And that is the thing. You want to have the most exciting part moved as far up against the start as possible, because that is where you want to hook people. Because if you have a killer point in your copy that you know this will just get people in the tracks, then you want to move it as far up in the video as possible, or in the video as possible. And then here at the start of the body, this is basically where the meat and potatoes is. We're going to place it, and we're going into the depth of this video. So basically I'm starting off by asking them a question of them having something they truly want to achieve in their life, but they feel like their hands and feet are moving against them, and they are in this conflict with their ambitions. And then I make it more, humanize my client a bit more, because I'm telling a story about him recycling plastic bottles in order to pay rent. And this is creating this emotional attachment, and people can relate to him a bit more instead of just being this guru that's putting out claims and stuff like that. And then we come to a epiphany where he finds out that this is about the stories that we're telling ourselves in our head. And then we move down to the conclusion of this, why this is it. And then this whole thing is about a metaphor. That was the main thing of this, to explain how these things work in a more friendly way for people who don't really know what this is yet. So basically this metaphor is about a library and a librarian and how your subconscious works, and how it plays with your conscious mind as well. So this is basically what I'm going into. Here, I'm basically just explaining what it is, and then I'm going to explain it further in a more user-friendly way with a metaphor. And I'm basically setting the whole scene and giving this librarian and this library a personal feeling, like explaining the room and explaining who like the personality of this librarian, so people don't just see it for their heads, but they can actually feel it. And this is instead of just using a metaphor, plain and simple, I'm actually taking them through the story and placing them inside this library and make them feel they are a part of it, and that makes them more invested in this and makes it more clear. Like they start to painting these pictures in their head, like it's a old desk where she's sitting at, and all these long halls with books that's a bit dusty, and giving her a like personality as well. She's a bit grumpy and have the glasses on her nose and all this stuff to make it relatable and feel like they are part of this story. And then here I moved down to examples of how this works. I'll show example 1 about the stories that you tell yourself, example 2, example 3, go on to a conclusion of why this happens, and then we'd put a layup to, so then you think like, now the big question is, how do you solve this problem? And then we give them the framework at the end. So we're just going over it a bit shallowly, and here we make a transition to the next video. So basically what we're doing here is that now you've learned all these things, but like you need to take action on this stuff, or else you won't not like get the like benefits of this. So what we're doing here is creating urgency and setting up for the new video that you're going to watch. Basically what this video is going to teach them is how to they unlock the full potential before this year ends. So we're actually stating that there's only 3 months left, October, November, and December. And if you if you want to achieve your highest goals, you need to take action instead of just sitting here and like mentally masturbating because you're learning things. You need to take action. So we're just setting up for the new video, and then click the link in my bio and you will watch it. So this is basically a simple video sales letter. There's tons of small things and tweaks in order to make this effective and really twist the knife and talk into these emotional things. Like there are 3 psychological triggers, or like 7 psychological triggers. So we're just weaving them in as well in these stories and metaphors and examples. For example, shame is one thing, emotional pain is another thing, mysticism, revenge, greed and sloth, and fear and insecurity. These are some things that we are weaving in. Instead of saying you feel fear, we are creating a story, a narrative about these things, and making these emotions pop up in people. And that is the triggers that we're trying to use as well throughout this whole video sales letter. And this video sales letter or YouTube video is probably about 15 minutes, and that's a really good length for this. It's both educational and we are trying to explain things further. So we're making, like, when his audience is not that familiar with these terms, we are actually making it more like consumable for them. So they will automatically go to him because they have this problem and he had made it easy for them to understand. Then he naturally become the leader, and on top of that, he's sharing his story about how he was in exactly their position. So again, they will likely, like, they are connecting this bond with him. So there's tons of things about this, and I will explain further in some of my other VSLs later down the line of how I do these things. Because I see so many people, they are following just the structure. You need to have the problem, agitation, solution. But yeah, that is kind of true. But that's the difference between a chef and a cook. A chef just follows a normal recipe, and then you will make, for example, a pasta dish that everybody else can do. But a cook or a chef, a cook follows the cookbook and the recipe, but a chef can see which components that it needs to make this beautiful dish that nobody have ever tasted before, and just blows people away. And that is why I don't really follow a structure that now I have to do this, now I have to transition to this. I basically, the only structure that I follow is the lead, the body, and then the close. And then I just add in these things, such as stories, such as metaphors, such as these emotional triggers, and all these other things in order to, the goal is basically to rewrite the stories that people are telling themselves, breaking it down and building up to ones that serve them, and then we are transitioning people to our offer. That is the main thing that's going through my head, and then I'm trying to see which points that I need in order for this whole thing to add up. So that's why I'm not following a complete structure. Now you need to do this, this, and this. That is the difference between a cook and a chef. So now we've had a bit of insight in how I write my video sales letters. I hope you can use it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.